I'm moving. So if you see any boxes behind me and it's messy, I think my wife will be upset that I posted this, even if it is messy, but I'm moving. So it is what it is. Um, so I want to talk about how I manifested 100K the first time and how I'm going to do it again using the exact same principles that I did the first time. I'll put up a screenshot or something. This was 100K coming in all in one lump sum. But let me take you back to the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey where I all I really wanted honestly was to do six figures a year. I didn't need like the 100K lump sum. I mean, I wanted that, but I had to first get myself to a place where I could believe in the six figures a year. I had entered my first full-time job, which was $25,000 a year, and I was working basically 7 days a week. Not really 7 days a week, but like 5 days a week plus weekends on call. It was in the entertainment industry, so you're on call all the time. I was getting a little bit of commissions because I was working with actors who were booking gigs, but it wasn't that much. I had to basically live at home because I was it's like $800 every couple of weeks after taxes. So that was when I first started thinking like I really want more than this. And I posted another video on this channel about how when my yearly income became my monthly income, which was amazing. So like having a $25,000 month always feels incredible because I remember, sitting at that desk and how that felt to be making that a year when I know I just wanted more. Like some people, and if you're watching this video, you're probably like me. It's like you want more money, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? And you will consistently try and figure out ways to make more money, with less effort and all those things. Hence why, I'm into my spirituality and I'm into manifestation on top of obviously doing the work because I don't want to just hustle and grind my way to the end. So back to the story. So I was working this job. I left the job. I started my first online business, which was a Facebook ad agency, and I did that for years. That was basically how I hit my first six figures. It was Facebook ad agency combined with my experience in video. I started selling video production so I could like make ads myself, and that is what took me to my first six figures. Now, in terms of manifesting the 100K, here's the main things that I did. And the reason I'm making this video now and why it's titled the way that it's titled is because I'm doing it again in the exact same way, and I will tell you when I do it again. So the first thing that is really important is expanding your field of receiving. And you've probably heard this before, but the way it looked for me was I was under the impression that I could only have a few income sources, right? It had to come from clients and they would only pay me a certain amount. Like when I started running Facebook ads, I was making like $500 a month per client. Now it's like over $3,000 a month if I'm running ads for people. But at that time, it was lower. And so I had like a limited span of receiving because I was only focused on getting more clients at a certain rate. Actually, my first client was $250 a month. So that was like way lower. It would have taken me a lot to make a five-figure month, let alone a six-figure month. So when you expand your field of receiving, what you're basically doing is you're allowing yourself to be and feel more open to larger sums of money. Speaking to the business partner I had at that time, and I was like, okay, dude, we got to be selling larger deals. At the time, a larger deal for me was like $5,000. That was like a big deal. And I'm like, we got to be doing larger deals. And he's like, all right, sounds good. Like, well, and we could also like apply for this, or we could also, I think he had mentioned there was like a couple film grants or whatever. He's like, we could apply for that. And I was like, why would we apply for that? Like we could just sell these deals or whatever. And then I realized, and then he was like, well, why not both? And I realized in that moment that like I wasn't allowing myself to have multiple streams of income in the way that I wanted. I wasn't allowing myself to have like big streams of income from multiple sources. And that's something that I'm trying to build into my subconscious again. Now it's at another level because I've done the $10,000 deals. I've done the $40,000 deals. I've done the 100K deals. It's like, why not multiple 100K deals, right? Or trying to piece them together from some smaller ones. But you see my point. It's like we get stuck in these limited ways of thinking and like what we're able to have. And the reason I'm talking about this from a manifestation lens is because, if you know about manifestation, which again is probably why you're watching this, it's like the space talks a lot about the limited way that we think about things and the limited way that our ideas about where money might come from and how it might come actually can block our manifestation. So the first way is to expand your field of receiving, which is what I'm doing again now, to say, if I could do $100,000 deal in a month, Why not have 5 as an example? So the second thing that I'm doing, and I'm going to have to look at my notes for this, I'm going to make this a cut video, so give me a second, is, okay, so this is the second thing that I had to do. I had to normalize and make comfortable having excess money. Because for a really long time, deep in my subconscious, and I don't know why, I don't have the story of being super broke as a kid. I don't have the story of, growing up in poverty with parents. My parents did pretty well. I do have the story about being adopted, though. Part of me thinks maybe my adoption had something to do with like the scarcity mindset that I deal with. But ultimately, I don't know why, but focusing on why isn't always the answer. We just need to be aware of what's happening. And especially early on in my business, I felt very, very familiar not having enough. The idea of having like excess money in the bank and continuing to want to work was pretty foreign to me. I was like, well, if I make more money, I'm just going to chill. Maybe I still have a little bit of that in me, right? Which is probably not the best. But my point with it being, I had a mentor at the time who also then turned into a client, who is still a client. I still do work for him and his company. We shoot videos and, I'll run ads sometimes and things like that. And he was making like good money and he was still working every day. And I was like, what is going on? Like, how does he like motivate himself to get up all the time and work despite the fact that he already has money in the bank and he doesn't need more? So when it comes to manifesting larger sums of money, I think it's really important to not to like normalize having more money, like to just feel like I can have excess in the bank. I could have 10, 20, $30,000 sitting there and still work and still want to grow it and not lose my motivation. Whole other video about what happened once I made my first 100K in the bank and how I basically shut down mentally and emotionally, and it started a whole spiral of fear that lasted literally a year, and then I had to have another year to get out of it. Anyway, that'll be a whole other video. But it's important when you're manifesting money to get really comfortable with the idea of having excess cash. Like really just like, I don't need to spend it. I just can have it. And just because. I can just have it because. And I will still be motivated and I'm still going to work and I'm still going to enjoy stuff. Because if you don't have that, this is what ends up happening. Because it happened to me, even though I do love what I do. You make more money and then you have more money, or you manifest more money, you have more money, and then you basically lose your motivation for stuff, right? Especially if money was the driving factor. So get more used to the idea of working anyway, even though you have the money, doing the things that you want to do, even though you have the money, writing down what you would do if you had more of that money in the bank, and just feeling really good about it, feeling good about paying the bills because you can. Like, I think that's something really, really important too, which I'm trying to continue to cultivate, is like, feel good about paying stuff and like rent, whatever bills that you have, because even if you have more money, you're still going to pay for stuff. And it's just important to just normalize that feeling of paying for stuff and having enough, having more than enough, having, $200,000, $300,000 sitting there. And like, I do remember when I felt more inclined to buy stuff, and as I made more money, it felt so good to have that desire go down. Like, it actually went down. And now when I'm like in a mall or I'm shopping, it's like, I don't really want to buy that much stuff, to be honest. Like, there are things I really do want to buy. I want to buy a house. I want to buy a new car. There's things I really want to buy. But ultimately, I don't get that. Like, when I had less money, I got a lot more of a high from spending all of it. Like, I wanted to go buy stuff and shop. But then when you have more money, I think it's important to shop less and spend less, and it's a great way to keep manifesting more and more and more, because money attracts money, like attracts like, all those things that we all know from just being in the personal development or metaphysics space, or however you found this video. And my last point is finding joy and gratitude even when things suck. I think that's really important. I did that for years. I'm back in a stage where I'm doing that again. Like, even when you feel like you don't have what you want, even when you feel like things are really slow, there's like thousands of dollars that I right now in deals that I'm owed and things like that, right? But it's like, how do I still find the joy? How do I still find the happiness? How do I still enjoy working with clients and doing what I'm doing? And I've got a film coming out in theaters this weekend. That was always a lifetime dream. That was one of my first manifestations, ultimately, actually, from when I was a kid. So it's really important that no matter how tough things are, no matter how much you're waking up, you can't sleep, you're stressed out, because I've been just as stressed with money in the bank, to be honest. When I had over 100K in the bank the first time, I would stress when we go to 80 and then I go to 60, and I was freaked out constantly about losing it. And I know that's true of a lot of people. Like, I was even reading a post by one of my old mentors. Like, he crushes it. They do hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, and he's like, it's stressful. So no matter how much you have or how little you have, you may still be stressed. So better to now to practice being joyful, being grateful, being okay, no matter what you have in the bank, because that will manifest you more money. That's what I did when I got that first transaction and I built up to my first 6 figures. And that's what I'm going to do again when I do it again. All right. Hope this helped. Oh, and if you want to join the strategy lab, like if you run an online business, if you get customers online and you post content already and you want to optimize your sales funnel, you want to optimize your digital strategy, maximize time freedom, you want to maximize location freedom. It's another big thing I've been working on for the last little bit. And I work on with people. Maybe you're running ads. You have a product or like a digital product or a program, and you are running it online and you're doing it through content, and you want to add an extra 5 figures. One of the big things that I like to do with people is optimizing their strategy to find another 5 figures. So like anywhere between 10K and 99K within their sales funnel already. If that sounds like you and something that you want to work on, feel free to apply for the strategy lab. Link is below, and have an absolutely blessed day. I'm going to do it. You're going to do it. We're both going to make more money. Keep your head up. Peace.